Happy MLK Day, folks. We'll have much more about the legacy of the great Dr. Martin Luther King and how the Democrats are rejecting his wise teachings just like they did when he was alive. We'll have that throughout the show. But the Democrats' historical and contemporary embrace of racism aside, they are an even bigger threat to the security, liberty, and prosperity of our people, all of our people. Joe Biden's classified document scandal is not only proof that putting Democrats in charge places our nation at risk, it also shows the level of infiltration that leftist operatives have achieved into once trusted American institutions. A Democrat-controlled government threatens America. That's something we will aim to prove in today's preamble. Classified documents are being discovered all over Joe Biden's properties. Over the weekend, more were found. Communist China paid for one of these facilities where Biden illegally stored these documents. The other is his lavish Delaware home. Joe Biden's lawyers are the ones discovering all of these documents, combing through them and then turning them in. It seems these Obama loyalists knew exactly where to look. But the Democrat Party's internal messaging to Mr. Biden, who is silly enough to believe his own press that he was actually contemplating a run for president in 2024, that Democrat-on-Democrat battle shouldn't be the focus of patriotic Americans. We should be asking substantive questions like, why are leftist lawyers with no security clearance allowed to lay eyes on these documents and then just turn them in? Isn't that a job for the FBI and DOJ? It is. So it begs the question, why isn't the FBI raiding Joe Biden's multiple other properties, gathering all of these classified documents and taking pictures of them to share with the left-wing press, just like they did to President Trump? Further, as Devin Nunes revealed in his visit on the Salcedo show on Friday, why is Merrick Garland allowed to appoint a Russia collusion hoaxer to investigate Biden's national security breaches without universal condemnation from the GOP and all of our people? The appointment of Robert Hur as a special counsel is kind of like a parent hiring a known pedophile as a babysitter. It isn't safe, credible, or smart. It is, on the other hand, corrupt, shady, and unreliable. Journalist Miranda Devine raises another question about our corrupt government. In 2018, Hunter Biden claimed on a background check form that he paid $50,000 in rent to live in Joe Biden's house, the house where Joe Biden illegally kept classified documents. The house is nice, but most common sense folks would be hard-pressed to justify paying $50 grand in rent per month for any house, much less that one. Breitbart and Devine point out the documents also show that Hunter checked a box on the form claiming to own Joe Biden's home. It is unknown why Hunter would have paid rent if he owned the house. But here's the país de resistance. It appears that Joe Biden and Dr. Jill Biden, never claimed the $50,000 a month income. That's $600 grand a year that Joe Biden seems to have left off his tax return. But your intrepid IRS seems to have no interest in tracking down Joe Biden's unreported income. Now, why is that? You all may remember the Hunter Biden laptop from hell. That's the story that the Twitter files alleges was suppressed through a coordinated effort between government and big tech. Well, in Hunter's overseas business dealings, it is suspected that the Bidens, in a massive influence peddling scheme, advantaged our enemies and harmed America in exchange for cash. Could the $50,000 a month have been a way for Hunter to give that 10% to the big guy? That was outlined in the release of communications from the laptop. Conservatives in Congress would like to know the answer to that. But it seems your government institutions, well, they don't want to know. The IRS and the DOJ and the FBI, they don't want to know where the Bidens get all of their money. What would you all need to know, and what you all need to know, is that far too many of our institutions and Republicans with the sensibilities of the wretched 18 who enabled that shameless omnibus spending bill couldn't care less about foreign governments compromising our elected leaders. That's why Joe Biden and his regime can break the rules, not keeping a visitor's log to Biden's Delaware home, the place he illegally stored classified information. In other words, we don't know who Biden has been meeting with, and his good friend Mitch McConnell. The FBI, the DOJ, and the IRS, they really don't care to look into it. President Trump has identified some of America's deep and entrenched problems, which may be why so many in our corrupt government are determined to never have an America First president ever again.
The now famous Twitter files have proven beyond all doubt that the corrupt officials at the FBI have been coordinating a massive censorship, surveillance, and propaganda campaign against the American people and, frankly, against me. In the most recent and notorious example, the FBI worked to stop the truth from being told about the Biden family's criminality. They worked so hard to stop it from coming out, but the censorship of the laptop from hell is only the beginning of the story about the weaponization of government against free speech.
That's not just an attack on free speech, one of our most fundamental rights. The corruption of the federal government has resulted in an attack on the Constitution itself, and therefore an attack on our basic rights and liberties. The Democrat Party and the Biden family's myriad scandals have been covered up, dismissed, and allowed to harm our people full force. Now the corrupt bosses at these out-of-control federal agencies, they're seeking to cover their own rear ends. They're not only protecting Biden, but many Democrats and some Republicans as well. They are all dedicated to making sure that we, the people, don't find out the truth until it's too late. This battle, my friends, is for all the marbles. These federal agencies are decidedly partisan. When President Trump's tax returns are exposed, but Joe Biden's escapes scrutiny, that's bias and corruption. When the Democrats and 18 Senate Republicans vote to sic 87,000 IRS agents onto we the people, knowing they themselves will escape any scrutiny, that's the weaponization of government against our people. And when the FBI raids a Republican president's home, takes photos of his alleged classified documents, but in turn allows Democrat lawyers to view classified information with no raids and no embarrassing photos of a Democrat's illegally possessed classified documents, a Democrat who admitted to illegally holding classified information for 6 years. That's a signal to me that the DOJ and the FBI is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democrat Party. I, as a conservative, those Republican voters out there and independent voters should not be forced to fund a partisan government agency. The federal government has grown beyond the consent of the governed. We have no idea how compromised our nation is. We have no idea which American enemies gained access to some of our most sensitive secrets via the Democrats' leader, Joe Biden. The time has long passed to reduce the size and influence of the federal government. A Salcedo show axiom states, it's best not to give government more power, lest it be abused. This government has proven it cannot be trusted with the power we gave it. By God, it's time we the people, took that power back.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. Your retirement funds are being threatened with even more losses from record inflation, recession, and skyrocketing interest rates. Fortunately, the highly trained specialists at American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. If you call them right now as a special offer, they will give you a free gold coin on your first qualifying order, so don't wait. Call 866-935-4309. That's 866-935-4309, or text Newsmax to 65532. That's Newsmax to 65532.